Hello and welcome to another Wisdom Once Wageo video. In this video, I'm going to be showing off my budget build of Dragon Link. I talked about this in the comments of my last Dragon Link deck profile, which is over a month ago, so I'm way overdue on this. But with the recent success I've seen in some of the feature matches for the most recent YCS, I think more people will be interested in dragons. So here's a perfect way to get started, and it all costs under $70 US. So we're going to talk about main and extra deck. Side is going to be a little more dependent on your locals, so I'm not going to feature it here. But with all that, let's get into it. All right, so starting with the main deck, the more obvious things, we have the Double Tracer, the Recharger, the Synchron, and the Abstrutter for a rocket package. Some lists are cutting the Synchron, some lists are cutting the Tracer down to 1. Unfortunately, we don't have access to some of the better replacement dragons, i.e. the Bestials in our list. So that's why we're playing all of these. I also am more of a fan of the Double Tracer because if you need to banish it to summon one of your baby Chaos Dragons, or you need it for some other part of the combo and you don't have it available in deck for quick launch or Abstrutter to search anymore, it feels pretty bad. Recharger, just because it's the best level 4 rocket, as well it has very interesting play with Striker Dragon for reviving essentially any dark monster out of your graveyard. Rocket Synchron, the recovery, you normal summon it, bring your Abstrutter. That's a Borreload Savage right there. Next, we move on to the rest of the dragons. We'll do the Chaos ones first. So we have Triple Seifert, Loving Ear, White Dragon, Black Dragon. So Seifert, super cheap now because of the reprint from the Albats structure deck. We have the White Dragon and the Black Dragon, which they're awesome extenders because one Seifert or one Chaos space plus discard equals a Link 2 Dragon. So that's why these are really good. And then Levineer is a really good tool to either rip a card out of your opponent's hand or just be an extender. You can get it back by banishing a Seifert from your graveyard if it's in your graveyard. So overall, a pretty useful tool at our disposal. Next, the ideal ratio for this deck is to have 4 normal summons. So that's why we're augmenting our 3 Seifert with a Black Metal Dragon. We have the Darkness Metal to be searched off it. And we play double Noctivision Dragon. So self-explanatory for these. It's also a tool, if you get Nibiru'd, you can summon this off Hieratic Seals, and then you have an option to extend further and make a more decent end board than Biru Token Pass. Noctivision, we bumped it up to 2 compared to my last deck list of 1 because we don't have the Bestials, so you're not having as many big dragons to clog your hand. So that's why a second Noctivision is applicable. You want to open one of these, you don't want to open both, but it's a really good extender. It's going to help you draw one. It's going to help you chain block that Striker Dragon. Overall, a fantastic card. Then we move into the last dragon, another target for seals. We have Fallen of Albats. This has been a popular trend in Bestial control decks because you can summon this off Hieratic Seals on your opponent's turn. So you bounce a card, summon Albats, you fuse with their extra deck monster, and you get a Mirror Jade. Alternatively, I'll show off a quick combo what you can do at the end of the video with if you get Nibiru'd on your turn, summoning out Fallen of Albats. Next, we move into the spell cards. We have the Triple Quick Launch, the Triple Chaos Space, Boot Sector Launch, Dragon Ravine, Call by the Grave. So these 8, pretty self-explanatory. Call by the Grave is because we are at 39 cards and we need a 40th card. Hitting a hand trap like a Dimension Shifter or an Ash Blossom is pretty good. This, we're summoning our rocks from deck. This, we're getting our baby Chaos Dragons. You're searching the 2 field spells off your Link monsters. It all comes together quite well. We move into the going second cards next. So we have Triple Ash. Ash, still pretty good card in this format. It hits a lot. It hits Labyrinth. It hits Branded. It hits Kashtira a bit. Not as well. But especially if you're going to locals and you're more budget conscious, you're not as focused at beating the top deck of the format. So Ash, fantastic against a lot of the rogue options. It's gotten pretty cheap now with being printed in 2 structure decks in a row. So you should have no issue getting hold of this card. Next, we're playing 3 Droll Lockbird. This is a budget choice. It does hit a fair amount of decks pretty well because if you Droll on Kashtira, for example, searching off their field spell, it's going to severely hinder their turn because you're not going to get Unicorn Search, no Fenrir Search, not going to be able to play very well. It hits Dragons in the Mirror pretty well, so a lot of application for Droll. If you were to increase the budget of the deck a bit, you could replace this with something like Nibiru the Primal Being. Next, we move into Effect Baler. I like Effect Baler a lot for this deck because it is a monster and it's a light compared to something like Infinite Impermanence. It will give you additional utilities with Chaos Space, for example. As well, because Baler doesn't have the same restrictions as Infinite Impermanence, you will be able to use 2 in one turn, even in the same chain. So that can be pretty useful sometimes. Last hand trap we're playing, if you have the budget, I would replace these with Infinite Impermanence, but if you're playing absolutely budget, we get the 3 Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. It is an effect negation. It can help you win games in time because of the damage it'll deal to your opponent. Just be careful. I did make a video about if Ghost Mourner was good or not. You can go back and check it out to see all the pros and cons of this card. Last 3 cards in the main deck, we're playing 3 Rivalry of Warlord as a going first trap that we can play. It'll stop Branded decently well. They won't be able to get into Mirror Jade. It can stop Kashtira because they won't be able to get into most of their extra deck because they're not psychics. So you do have application where Rivalry is really useful. You're obviously going to side it out when you're going second. And some other options you could play, similar budget, is something like Book of Eclipse. So that's the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So the obvious one is the synchros. We have Borreload Savage and Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. Borreload Savage of our $15 US extra deck is 2/3 of it. Even with the reprint, it's still decently pricey, but at least it's more available. And then Scarlight is a good board clear. It helps us win in time because it does burn damage. Next, we move into our fusions. So we play 1 Albion, 1 Lubellion, 1 Mirror Jade. The reason for each of this is if you have to seals and you don't have access to them having an extra deck monster, but they do have a dark, you can go into Lubellion. Lubellion, you discard, fuse itself and the Albats or any extra deck monster you want to recycle in your graveyard and Albats into the Mirror Jade. Then you still have Albion as ammo in your extra deck. Same thing is if you get Nibiru'd, you can summon Albats, fuse Nibiru and Albats into Albion, banish either itself or an extra deck monster in your graveyard and Fallen of Albats to go into Mirror Jade, and you still have the Lubellion in extra deck as ammo for the Mirror Jade on your opponent's turn. So that's why we play all 3. Next, we get into the links. So you have Pisty Striker Dragon. Pretty self-explanatory. This grabs Boost Sector Launch. This in the more wild combos, you can use it to summon a dragon back from your graveyard. Otherwise, it can just be a way to link off one of your baby Chaos Dragons to get the search. We have Romulus. Romulus searches Dragon Ravine, so pretty important. Double Herratic Seal. Because we're not playing some of the pricier options like Access Code, we do have a little more space in our extra deck. Second Herratic Seals is really good. It can help you, if you do a push on turn 3 and you aren't able to OTK, you can put up another Seals and be able to really slow down their plays when they're trying to play on their turn. Next, we have other Link 2s, Quadboro and Delindrius. This is when you're able to overextend. Essentially, the combo would be you have a Seals up, you put Quadboro there, you put Pisty underneath, summon back to those arrows, use Pisty and what you summon back into Delindrius. You go Quadboro effect, pop the Delindrius, bring back your 2 rockets, and then Delindrius revives. And then you can use one of the rockets, Delindrius and Quadboro, to go into a Borrelend. Borrelend, target the rocket, go back, and then synchro the 2 rockets into a Borreload Savage. So that's like the Overextend play, which those enable. If you want to play this deck more conservatively, you can replace those with things like IP Masquerena, which will increase the budget a bit, or you can play things like Nightmare Phoenix. So getting into our Link 3s, we have Triple Burst, which is for facilitating Pisty plays. So if you have, for example, Romulus, you summon a Pisty here, and you have any other monster, you go Romulus plus the monster into Triple Burst, and then you set up your Pisty arrow as well. Then you can use all 3 of those into the Borrelend. We're playing Nightmare Unicorn for spot removal. Even though we're not playing IP Masquerena or Access Code, I still think it is good. It's really good to be able to out like a big monster or something that can't be destroyed, because if you don't have this, it's very hard to get rid of cards that can't be destroyed. And lastly, we have Borrelend. It's our big monster. Not being able to be targeted by monster effects is really good against a lot of decks. Not being able to be destroyed by card effects, really good. Being able to attack out your opponent's monsters, this can really just help you like change the tempo of the game, reduce all the advantage your opponent's built up, and then still have a monster negate that your opponent is not able to respond to on the board. So that's it for the deck profile. Let me know what you guys thought. Leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe if you aren't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video.